there as well, if that's okay. Perfect. So do interrupt at any point. I know some of it might seem a little bit fast, but that's why we record it, so you can watch it back on those parts that you are not familiar with at all. So just a little bit about Lynx. First of all, if you're just starting out on the journey, just to show you some of the things that it can do and the potential of it there as well. So if I just nip into this Gruffalo one there, I'll just start that presentation. So this is great just for sort of like your early years and things, and Key Stage 1, to really immerse that story. So I can go into it, I can navigate my little mouse around and then go forward. I can move my characters. I can have that like repetition of language and things. And then as long as I don't mind chopping off the Gruffalo into little pieces, I can then create a nice quick little jigsaw and just putting that all back together again and things like that there as well. Some of the other things that you can do in it as well. So I'll just skip through to a couple of slides further forward. So even things like your squared paper and things like that, I will show you exactly how to do all these. This just gives you a bit of an idea of the capability of what Lynx can do, but you can change the size of that grid and really tailor it to suit your user's needs. And I'll just drop that quickly into the background there. Then other things, you've got these things like the protractor, which are really nice. You can make them bigger, smaller, just using those, your pinch and zoom on the board. You can stamp angles, move away, and then you can even put on things like the reflex angle and change all of those there as well. Some of the other things that you can do, particularly great for if you were doing fraction work, if I just go into split that shape up, I can split it into fractions, have those fractions there. I can even change the colour, and you could have that discussion of what's been removed and things like that there as well. It works really nicely with squares and rectangles as well. So I can just split that into sections, and I can even then type into that if I wanted to do, for example, like a jumbled sentence. I can even change the colour if I wanted to have a bit of like a grammar focus, or even if I just wanted to do a quick label diagram. Again, I'm just showing you these things at the moment just so you can see the potential of Lynx and how you could use it, and then we will drill down how to create some of this content shortly. Again, you have things here, I'll just present that there, and these are just on a little cycle. So just hide and reveal, especially for your languages or for your maths. Again, you can have your dice, you can have multiple die on there, or you can just have that single dice and that random roll, and then just a bit of a hide and reveal of a picture. I'll not get you to shout out if you know what it is. Julia will know what it is, but it's put your money where your mouth is. So things like that. On here, you've also got an infinite canvas, so you can scale things up or zoom in on them. So this is like a high resolution picture of a Fred Olsen cruise liner. If I zoom in, it will just calibrate. So it's really nice if you're wanting to maybe do some work within your classroom about where zones might be, or where students might want to sit, particularly at the beginning of years and things. That's quite nice. Seating plans. And then I can just zoom right out and that you can see my annotations stay there. I've got all this space around that I can just be using to write and annotate on there as well. You can layer items up. So for example, there's multiple layers to this one here, so I can just click on them and I can just move them and peel them away, and I can even click on it and just peer into what's hidden below, so I can have like that little slider just to see what sits on top of things there as well. I can also have a little cycle, so I just tap and it can just be multiple images or some text and images. So it's great for sort of that life cycle, or even just like a sequence of stories or steps that you might want to have there as well. Again, you can have this cloning tool. So it's great for models and images, particularly sort of maths as well, if you're using sort of like the numicon or the base value and things like that. That you can just have those and a replicate. Again, you can do it on anything. So I've got some little people here to show population and things there as well, but you can have it on anything there that you want to. Again, even things like YouTube clips, I'll just stop presenting that there. So YouTube, you can drop YouTube clips directly into Lynx whiteboard. It will remove the adverts at the beginning and it won't jump to the next one. And then if I just take some little snapshots up there, I'll just turn that volume down. So I'll just click there for a few different snapshots. I'll wait for it to go to something else. But if I just pause that there, you can see that it's then built up a little series of snapshots there that then I could have sequence in the story, or it might be we might be writing and talking about each step there as well. And then finally, Lynx does have lots of activities there as well. They're all, there's some that are built by the developers, which I'll go into in a little bit. You find all of these on the web side of it on the browser, and I'll show you how to do that, so please don't feel overwhelmed or anything by it. You can also link, so you can make, if you've got a resource on BBC Bitesize that you might like, you can click on that and it will take you to BBC Bitesize. Again, you can link up your PowerPoints if you want that to open up directly in your PowerPoint. Or again, even just like if you've got a PDF of a paper or something that you want to be writing on, this one's got 44 pages. I can go through it. I can either write on it here, so I could make some corrections and things. I can move forwards and backwards on that, or I can go into that document. And if I just write over the top of it there, and go forwards and backwards, those annotations will stay there. And that was on page, yeah, so I'll just go back to that there. So if I go forwards and backwards, those annotations will then stay there, which is quite nice. You do get lots of activities. You can link your cloud drives to it. There's lots of downloads available, so we've got some resources and things that are available, but you can also download a screen recorder which will record your lessons, particularly good if you were doing sort of handwriting and you want to do modelled handwriting on the board. Record that, leave it playing on a loop while you go around and just make sure all your students are doing it correctly there as well. So if I just pop to here and sort of explain a little bit of what we're going to cover today in the training and how you'll create this content. So we'll have a little look at these first four sections of sort of getting started, setting it up and being able to present it, getting ready for that side of it. And then maybe Julia, we might do a further section further down the line of some of those advanced features there as well. My email address is there as well if you feel you want to get in contact about anything. There's no stupid question at all. We've all been there and we've all had our struggles doing it as well. So by all means, please feel free just to drop me an email or get in touch that way. It would be lovely to hear from you. So if I just go into here, the Lynx whiteboard, you don't have to solely just use it on your board, which is great. You can have it on your laptops. And I believe, Julia, you'll correct me if I'm incorrect, but I'm sure on your portal you can download it. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, that's correct. So on your Windows machine, you need to go into the Software Center and then just do a search for Lynx, I think. I think just by writing Lynx will be enough. And then it should come up and you can just install it from there.
Brilliant, thank you. So you can have it. I know teachers don't just work in the classroom. You don't have that luxury all the time of being at the board as well to create that lesson content. So it's great that you can have it on your laptop and things like that. You can have it on personal devices. You can download it directly from the Lynx website. It's absolutely free for anyone to use. So if you want your students to have it and things like that, or rolled out across the school, you can do. There is a pro side to Lynx, which I'm not going to go into today, unless at the end you want to see some of it there. Everything I'm showing you today is on the free version. The pro is a lot of AI integrated things there as well. So a lot of AI content. So might not be relevant at this stage. You can link your cloud drive. So whether you're a Google school or a Microsoft school, you can link those as well. And you can open a range of media. So whether you use smart notebooks, you can open those and you can edit and change the content there. Same with Active Inspire software, you can open and change and manipulate the content there. If you love PowerPoints, I would say if you've got a lot of your planning and things on PowerPoint, absolutely fine to use PowerPoint. You can either open it up directly in Lynx Whiteboard. It will come through as a flat PDF of each slide. So you won't be able to edit and change it. And if you like to have lots of transitions, it won't bring those transitions in. So in those instances, I would say keep using PowerPoint, and it might be that you do a bit of a hybrid lesson. So there might be things that you dip in and out of Lynx Whiteboard for. Again, Words and PDFs you can open up and annotate over the top of, or make improvements to there as well. You can with Lynx Whiteboard, you can drop in video files, you can drop in GIFs, you can drop in your images there. Any image that I put onto the screen and I click on, I can zoom right into it so I can have that real focus on it. Again, just like our PDFs that we had a little look at before, I can click on, I can either open it up full size or I can just go through it on the screen like that. Again, the cover, so I can reveal parts of an image or I can click on it again to hide it. Cycle, I can just have multiple images or I could have a mix of images and text. And I just cycle through those, and then I can even link to other slides. So in this slide, I've hidden some of the content, and when I click on that slide, you'll now see some different characters appear. So on here, I can manipulate my Simba and Nala, I almost forgot the name. Star doesn't do anything, so you can see he doesn't have an action. And then the hyena are on a replicate, so I can just pull multiple ones of those out as well. So you can really make it as interesting and interactive as you would like. So that's just a little bit about Lynx. So let's have a little look at how you get started and how you can create your content. So for yourselves, you can go to on your systems app, go in and search for Lynx and download it there as well. If you're doing it for personal laptops and things, you can go to the lynxcloud.app and download it directly from there. It's also available from all those usual app stores there as well if you need to. Once you download it and open it, it will look similar to this. We can sign in. So I'm signed in. I've got my logo there for me signing in. And then I will switch to show you the live website part. So if I just bring my website across here. So here I've just gone to the lynxcloud.app. If I click on the downloads, you can see that I can download it here. If I'm a Mac user, I can download it for the Mac, or if you're Linux or Android there as well. But most of us will be the Windows version there. I can just click on download from there. The screen recorder that I mentioned as well, you can download that directly here as well. To sign in and to create an account, there's a little icon up here that you can just, if I just sign out of that one, here it will say register for an account. Just click that sign up, pop your details in. If you're a Google school or a Microsoft school and you use your work account, Once you've signed in, it will also link your drives up there as well. So you can see I've got a Google Drive and I've got my OneDrive signed up there as well. So those will automatically do that for you, and then you have access to all those resources. So once you have created an account, so I'll just minimize that window, you can open up the Lynx app, and that will give you an option. Let me just go into, I'll stop presenting there for a moment, your main dashboard, which will look like this. You might not have recent activities that you've opened in the past, and that might just be blank, and you'll have the option of new and files. So it might be existing files that you want to open. We won't worry about the AI builder today. You'll see I've signed in at that bottom part there. So if I click new, I get a page that looks like this. So I'll just switch over to, oh, let me just move that out of the way. There we go. I'll just switch over to this one because it's just got that zoomed icons in at the top there. So at the bottom, you've got this little thumbnail menu here, which gives you various options, okay, for our saving and things. We'll have a little look at that in more detail in a moment. You've got your navigation, so you can move forwards and backwards, and it tells you how many pages you've created. The next icon along, you have your thumbnails. So this will enable you to have your slide overview, to go into page options, to toggle on if you want that infinite canvas. And it will also be a toggle to go in and edit the background there as well, which is always an important one to remember where that is. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. In this middle icon are our main sort of features that we would use. So you've got the select little finger pointer. So anything you want to move, make sure you click on the select. It will get a little blue line that appears underneath. Our pens, we've got a series of pens in there that we'll look at as well. You've got your text, so that's just like your normal text editing. And then you've got this little paint bucket, which has loads of different editing tools in it. So that's where I can split my shapes and things like that in there as well. And then I've got my content icon. We will look at each of these individually as well, so please don't worry. And then we've got our undo, redo and delete. Often we like to know where the redo undo button is in case we make that little error there as well. So having a little look at getting started in those in a little bit more depth. So when I click on that little hamburger or stacker menu, as some people like to call it, on that bottom left corner, I have my options here where I can create default options. If I'm struggling, there is a help or something's not quite working, I can contact support or report an issue. I've got full screen. I can split screen, so I can have two presentations up at the same time. And this is where I can also save my work too. So if I click on save there, it will allow me to either save it to my cloud drive or save it to my desktop or to my Lynx cloud. You've got various options there as well. You can also print from here and share a QR code as well. And then of course we've got start presenting. So this is where once you've made your slides interactive, this is where you can really bring those presentations alive. So look, I know there's lots of things to remember, but it is all recorded and we'll go through each of these as well. Few things here. The next thing we've got are our thumbnails. So if I just go to that fresh sheet, I've got my thumbnails here. I've got various options I can do. So I've got some page options there, so I can turn on a little curtain if I want to, and I can slide that up and down. I can even, using those three little dots, I can change the direction. So maybe I want it coming from the side. I can also change the colour there as well. If I click done, there we go. And then I can just click the cross when I've finished that as well. There's also in there a little spotlight. So if I go back to those page options, I can toggle on that spotlight. And again, I can move that around the screen. I can make it bigger and smaller using that pinch and zoom. I can change the colour again of that background if I wanted a different colour to find the item hidden below. And then again, just click on the little cross just to turn that off. Now, some of the really nice things in here, if I click again on those thumbnails, that's where I can toggle on if I want it to be an infinite canvas. I personally tend to keep them as standard slides and maybe have one or two as an infinite canvas that I know I might be mind mapping on. You can also go in here and edit the background. Now, this is the one that I've said it's quite important to remember where that is. So if I click on edit background, you can see here I've got a colour palette and I've got a background pattern. If I click on the background pattern, it gives me some options here. So I've got some lines, so I could just have line paper on there straight away. And I can use this slider just to make those lines bigger or smaller. Again, I can do exactly the same with the grid there. So I can make this as more like a mass graph grid. So I could have those plain squares there as well. And again, I can just use that little slider to make those squares bigger or smaller, depending on the age group I'm working with. Once I'm happy with that, I can click on exit background and those are now locked in place. I can't change the size of them unless I go back into that thumbnails and back into that edit background, and then I have that slider again that I can be using to change. And now they are locked again in place. If I click on my numbers, I can see here I can add additional pages. I can even, if I click back on that one, I can duplicate that page. I might want them all to look the same. I can use those little arrows to reorder. And if I want to put a background colour on, so it's not that stark white, I can click on the thumbnails, just that little stacker menu there. And I can choose a colour for the background, or I can choose it from colour wheel there. So I might just go with that colour there. Or if I had an image that I wanted a particular colour, I can do that. I also have the options from there to insert a page before or after, to copy the page, or to duplicate the page there as well. So lots of nice items there that you can use there as well. So I'll just go back onto this one here. So we've gone through sort of those. I'll come back to that linking slides together towards the end as well. So thinking about some of the pens that we might want to use, which again is in this middle section. So we've got the finger pointers, the first one, which is our select item. And then we have our pens. So when I click on the pens, it's like it opens up a little pencil case. So you can see those items have changed at the bottom of my screen. So I can just click on it. I've got a variety of pens there within it. So I've got the ink, the fine tip, the laser, highlighter, rainbow lined, animated. So I'll have a look at those. The ones that are the pro, that are the subscription based ones, are the text and shapes and the mass recognition, because they're all built with our AI feature there as well. I can change the colour and the size that I want to be using, so I can just change the colour and write on the board there as well. It's just quite a nice pen to be writing with. I was the teacher that always lost my pen, so it's not there on my board at the moment, so I've got very used to using my fingers there as well. You can, everything I tap on, you will get this little floating toolbar. So if I wanted to move that text, if I use the little crosshairs there, I can just move it. I could change the colour of it if I didn't like the colour. And I can even make it thicker or thinner depending on what I wanted to do with it there as well. So that's just some of the inking tools, the pens there as well. Some of the really nice ones as well are the rainbow and the animated rainbow pen, especially if handwriting is a focus for you. So for example, if I go with that rainbow pen and thinking of letter formation, if I'm writing the letter B, hopefully you can see that that's not the same colour. It's changed colour because I've taken my finger off the board. If I can write in the same, even with cursive writing, you can see which letters I can join and which ones I can't. If I can join them, it appears all to be the same colour. For me as an adult, I don't like it all being the same colour. I would prefer to have them multicoloured. And so you can, to have that progression, those students that can join their writing, if I go with that animated rainbow pen, it just cycles through a series of colours, so it brings their writing alive. So it's just to show that sort of progression that you can have with those pens that are quite nice. I know in some of the secondary schools, they just quite like to write with the animated rainbow pen because it just looks nice and bright and colourful and makes it look interesting and interactive. I can then just click on the rubber and just erase those things out. You'll notice when I'm rubbing over these things on the left-hand side, they're not being erased. And that's because they are in the background layer, which we will talk a little bit about, but we will talk about a little bit more. The other option in here that you have are your lines. So again, if I just do a straight line on there, you can see it's just a straight line. You can do it in whichever direction you want. If I select and click on that, you can see I've got that floating toolbar again, and that middle icon will allow me to change that. So I might want to change it to be more like a graph. So that elbow on that far one. And if I add additional points, I can then quickly just have a quick graph if I wanted to. I could even turn that into a curve line just by switching to that middle icon, so I have that nice curve there as well. So lots of features there within your pens. The next thing you come along to, so again, if I click on that little arrow to come out of that pencil case, brings me back to that main toolbar there as well. So this time, if I click on that text and I click it twice, you can see I've got 3 preset fonts already there. So that means I could just click on that Tintin one and start to type. So it will be in that one. If I wanted that second, the Comic Sans, and if I just type, I'll type hello again, you can see that's that different text. Now, those are just preset fonts that I have put in. To get to those, and not all schools have particular fonts that they like you to use, but to set those, I can just click on that little cog next to it. It takes me to this menu here. And you can see there's my 3 presets. So the Arial white, the Comic Sans just in that black colour, and again that Tintin in that black. You can change the size, you can have bold, italic, underline, and have it set to however you would like it to be. Once I've set them, just click back and those are now set in there, my 3 presets that I can just quickly tap on and change how I want to there as well, which is nice. You do with each of these, you get this floating toolbar. Again, the little crosshairs here will allow you just to maneuver it around. The A will allow you to change the colour. So if you've not, even though it's a preset, if you're not happy with the colour, you can change it. This middle one here, next change the background colour. So if I wanted it to be on a background, I can put a little background colour on it, or even have it white. And again, that next one, even though you've had a preset, you can change it to be any other font that you want it to be. And this is just pulling all the fonts from my laptop here. So that's really the text tools. There's not an awful lot to say about those. Just click in the board and start to type really there as well. The next icon is our editing tools. So that little paint pot there is our next ones, and there's a few things that you can do with this. So just like the pencil, the pen, when I clicked on it, opened up some options. When I click on our paint pot, again we get a few different options. So I've just copied it and popped it up here as well, just so we can see. So you've got that, still got that finger pointer, that select tool. We've got a fill icon, a little paint pot. We've got a block highlighter, so it's great if we want to highlight a block paragraph or things like that. And then we've got our cropping tools there as well. So just to go through some of those. So I'm on the select, I know that because I've got that little blue line. So I can just move my icons around. So you can see that's just got a white and that's black there. So the next one is our paint pot, our fill. If I click on the paint pot there, I have options to change the colour. So I might change that to, let's go back, and here's why we like to have an undo. There we go. I might want to change the colour of that circle to be purple. The next one, this little hash mark, that means transparent. So if I click on the transparent and click on that purple, I can then move that, and it's now, you can see it's like a little magnifying glass, whereas before it was filled. So it's just quite nice that if you want to be a detective and search for specific words and things like that, you can just make it that little bit more engaging there as well. The next topic there is our highlighter, our block highlighter. So if I click on that, and click on it twice, I can select the colour. So I've just got that yellow colour, and I might block highlight that part of our text. Now I can still click on that, so you can see I can change the colour. If I was like, oh, I don't really want yellow, I might want that green, but now I can't see the text. If I click on the eye, it allows me to change the opacity of that. So it might be that I want students just to focus on that. Or it is really good if you've got students who have dyslexia or Erlings, if they have specific hex colours that you know of, you can pop their hex colour for the colour that makes it easiest for them to see in there, and it will change that for you as well. The next icon is our crop, and this is one of my favourite icons, I have to say. This is what I used for our Gruffalo to make the little jigsaw puzzle. So I could just grab a rectangle. So for this one, I'm just going to grab that part. So it makes just a little duplicate and a crop of it there that I can do. I can grab by freehand, so I can just draw around an item. So let's say it was here. I'm just going to roughly draw around that. Again, that makes a little image. So you can see I can draw around that there as well. And then the next one I can use is a knife. So I could then just, this is how I made the Gruffalo with that knife. And now you'll be able to see that that's just pulled apart two different pieces there as well. So if I wanted to do that again, I could just go into the knife, and whatever way I want to cut it, there we go. I can just split that into pieces there, and that's just a quick way that you can make a jigsaw puzzle how you want to. The split tools, the shape split, is great for circles, squares or rectangles. So once I've got my shape on, I can just use my finger, spin round the board, let go, and I can split that shape. So each one of those little sectors will then have its own floating toolbar that I can change the colour of each of those sectors if I wanted to, and you can have that whole discussion of what's been removed, what's been taken away, and things like that there as well. Same with squares and rectangles. Again, it's that crop going into split shape, pull down from a horizontal lines and across for those vertical lines. So I might just go to there, and again, if I tap in it twice, I can then type in it and have a jumbled sentence or a grammar focus, anything like that, really quick and easy to do there as well. Our next icon that we're going to look at is the plus icon, or additional tools. So when I want to come out of my editing tools, same as the pencil, I just click that little back arrow there and it takes me back to those main toolbar. So this time I'm going to be in that plus arrow, looks like this. So I've got the paste here. So if I'm pasting an item in, I can just click on paste if I've copied it. I can browse files, so I can open up different files and create a link to it. I can link a page, so I can choose to link one of my previous pages to go back to. This is where I can create a table, and just like you'd use sort of in Word, you can choose the number of rows and the columns, and then you just click insert. This is where I can get my shapes, so those shapes that I use for splitting for my fractions or my table and things like that. Got the circle there and square or rectangle there that you can use, but we're going to have a little look at this content area, and this content area is available once you have signed in this media search area here. So if I just go to the next slide there and go to my content, I've got the same menu as over here. So if I just go into, say, for example, Microsoft Bing, and I just type in dogs, for example, I get lots of different images of dogs. So I could just click on it and drag them on to bring in that content really quickly there as well. If I didn't just want an image, so for example, if I wanted a little Giphy or a clip art, I just click on the little thumbnail there and I can change it to find some clip art. So it might be a little clip art of a dog that I want to find there. So I'll just drop that onto there. I'll even bring that one on as well. Just pop those on there. Again, I can also find a little GIF. So if I want a GIF, I can just click there and I'll just, that one, I'll drag on. So I've just got a little GIF. And again, this is where you can get some of those YouTube clips. You can click on it. Again, though, it won't have the adverts on it. And I'll just make that a little bit smaller. I'll click play and hopefully the volume is down on it. There we go. So that will play through and it won't go to the next one that I want to go to. So you can see that's just playing, and that middle icon, if I just do a few little snapshots there while that's playing, I've got that content there as well really quickly that I've just pulled from that. So that's sort of our media search and content, just how quickly you can build up a bank of resources there as well, particularly if your students are interested in a particular area. The next one we're going to look at is our Browse and CCA folder. So that's that middle folder there. Now you don't need to be signed in for this at all. You can just access it directly there as well. You'll notice here we've got some backgrounds. So other than just going into that edit background, you will also find other backgrounds in here. For example, if you want lined paper for writing, for your handwriting, we have some here that I can just drag and drop and it appears there. If I click on that little pen with the colour, I can change the solid line. If I click on the highlighter, I can change the dotted line. So some people have sort of the solid red with the blue dots. That icon from the small square to the big square, that scale item, is our grid size. So again, I can change the size of those lines to suit the needs of my learners. And then once I click off that, that's now locked into the background. If for any reason I wanted to change it or things like that, I would just go back to that thumbnail and click on edit background, and then I can just click on there and I get those options there again. So if I was like, oh, that's not quite the right size, I can change it there, exit my background, and those are there for me. This is also where, if I click on that home, you'll find some of those maths resources like the protractor that you can just pull out and manipulate there. We've got clocks, angles, you've got those dice and things, you've got protractors and compasses, lots of different resources there as well. There's also some content called the CCA folder, which is our clever content area. Now in here, and we're happy to send this out to schools if it's something you would like. There's things like our maths resources in here as well. And just from, there's a few of us who are ex-teachers, we've got things in here like your Numicon, so you can just bring those out and have those on the screen there as well. Even things like your bar models, sort of that, your Deans or your base 10, you can just bring those out there as well. So you've got all those resources there for you. So those are all there. Nice to just have a little bit of a play. If you do need that content, I know, Julie, I've sent it to Jim in the past, but if you need me to send it again that you can share with teachers, that's absolutely fine there as well. I'll go to the next one. Oh, missed one there. So having a little look, I know I've mentioned a few times about this floating toolbar that we get, and that's where you can really make your presentations and things come to life and just change how things look and feel. So for example, this little finger pointer is in the foreground or the working layer. I might want that to be in the background, so if I was to use a rubber, it wouldn't erase. So for that, there's this little stacker menu that says arrange and transform. If I hover my mouse over it, when I click on that, the top gives me the options of where I want it to be in that layer, whether I want it at the front or the back. But in this case, I want to send it to the background, so I can't mess about with it. It's not going to move while I'm working on screen. If I use a rubber, it's not going to rub out. So if I just hover my mouse over that bottom left icon, it says move to background. So if I click on that one, it's now in our background. You can see these things go sort of a bit opaque because they're in my working area. This floating toolbars is in my background. This little number here is also in my background. And then when I click exit, I can no longer click or edit and change that. And even if I was to go into that rubber, I can't rub over that content, but I can rub and erase that content that's in the working layer. So I'll just undo that little bit that I rubbed out. Things like your pen, we had a little look at, you can change the colour there. You can change the size and the slider there. Again, the crosshairs will move it around. Images, if I click on an image, I can make it full size there again, or I can just come out of it. I can also, if I go into this little picture here, I can make it a 360 mode. So if I click on 360, I can just move around as though I'm in that actual image there. And I can do this with any image at all as well. You also have we've got Simba here who's going to a party. And again, he kind of, his clothing is going behind him. So again, if I click on there and go to that stacker menu, which is just next to those three dots, I arrange and transform, I can bring that to the front. So then I can have his cape on, and I do exactly the same with the mask, that little stacker menu, bring it to the front, and there we go. I can even drag over those and group them. That little middle icon there will group those items together. So now I can just move that around on the screen as that little character there as well. Don't forget, you do have your undo, redo and delete items if you need them there as well. So thinking about getting things ready for a presentation, how do we make it really interactive and engaging for our students? Now that we've got a bit of an understanding of what some of those features do on our page and our toolbars. So getting things ready for a presentation, I might just want to cover this item here. So if I click on my image and I might want to just click on those three little dots there, and I can click on cover. It automatically defaults to grey. If I want to change the colour, I can click on those three dots next to the word cover, and I can change that to a different colour. So I could have it just like that. Or if I want to have it a bit of like a tiled image, I can click on the cog. I can say how many rows, how many columns, and I can even put tiled numbers on there as well. And then all I do is press close, and I leave that for the moment. So that's ready for presentation mode. If I want to do the cycle a bit like the water cycle, or if I'm wanting to do the life cycle, I've got 4 images here. I'm just going to bring them a bit closer together. And I'm just going to highlight those 4 images like so, just by dragging over the top of them. Again, that 3 little dots there, and I'm going to click this time on cycle. You'll notice it's just turned to 1, and I'm just going to leave it like that for until presentation mode. I want Simba to be editable, so I want to be able to interact with that character. So I'm going to click again, 3 little dots on that floating toolbar, and I want him to be editable while presenting. It turns blue, and then I can just click off. The hyena, I want to replicate, so I want him to do multiple images. So again, 3 little dots, and I'm going to click replicate again. It goes blue, and I can click off the screen there. Now Zazu, I'm going to send to the background. I don't want to give him a job at all. So this time I'm going to that stacker menu, and then I go into the layers, and I'm going to move to the background. So you can see lots of things there have faded out, and then I will just exit that background. So he will sit in my background layer there. Now Rafiki, I don't want to give him a job. I'm going to just leave him as an image and see what happens. To Mo, I'm going to allocate a sound. So again, this is great in early years if you're doing any sound buttons, if you've got a little file recorded of the sound you want. If I go to those 3 dots, and I'm going to click on link, and I'm going to select a file from my desktop. Hopefully I've got one called sounds. There we go. And we'll have Hakuna Matata, you can be saying. And we'll select that and click OK. You'll notice I've got a little chain link at the top there for that one. And then last of all, I'll go to Pumbaa. I'll click on Pumbaa, and I'm going to link him to a slide. So again, 3 little dots. I'm going to link, and I'm going to link to another page. So when I select pages, it gives me all these options that I can go to. And I'm going to click on that one there and click OK. So it's going to take me to slide 39. You'll notice again, I've got that chain link. So now I've got everything ready for my presentation and to make it engaging and interactive. I'm going to go to my hamburger menu down here at the bottom, and I'm going to click on Start Presenting. So now that I'm presenting, I can click on those numbers to reveal parts of the picture. And if I tap on it again, it will hide those again for me. So I can do parts of the number. The cycle, if I just tap on it, it will cycle through those 4 images that I had. So even if it was text or something like that, you can have that on as well. The editable Simba was editable. So again, I can manipulate him around on the board and have him wherever I'd like to, and use my fingers just to pinch and zoom. The hyena was on replicate. So again, I can just have multiple items there just on that replicate. Zazu went to the background. So when I click on him, nothing happens. I can drag over him, but nothing will happen. Rafiki, the monkey I left, when I touch on him, it just enlarges the image. So anything I put on, if I don't give it an action and don't send it into the background, if I tap on it, it'll come up nice and large. But to come back out, I just tap on that little arrow. Timon will play a sound. I don't know if it will play. I can hear it playing on mine. I don't know if my microphone will mute that sound out, but you'll have to trust me that he was saying Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. And then Pumba, I almost forgot his name, links to another slide. So when I click on it, it links me to another slide there as well. So that is really the first part of Lynx in a real whistle stop tour. I know there's lots and lots of things there for you to take in, but do you have any questions? Is there anything that you're thinking, oh, you didn't show me how to do X, Y, and Z, or could you just show me a few pieces of something else? So I will pass over to yourselves if you have any questions there.
I mean, that was amazing what you managed to do. I was stunned at what you managed to do. And it's a lot to take in. And just finding all the different menus, you know, it's second nature to you. You just tap here and you're going, well, what you slow down. So I'm glad you recorded this and we can play it again. Because when you first showed us the Gruffalo, I thought, where did you get that image from? And I can't believe that you can download all these things, ClickArt and all the different things you mentioned, and YouTube without it being copyright, that we're allowed to use it.
Yeah, in a lot of situations in schools, it is finding those things. Like a lot of schools will have those copyright rules and things already in place. So you can share things, but yes, you do have to be mindful of your copyright. You will also have your schools filtering in place as well. Through that as well, so it won't allow sort of inappropriate content and things to come through to you.
I love that you could watch YouTube videos without it running on and without the adverts that pop up. That's tremendous.
Oh, absolutely. It's normally Grammarly that is the first one that comes along.
But
I will stop the. I was just going to say, I'll stop the recording. So you're just happy to just chat if that's all right with yourself.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Perfect. I'll stop that there. Where's my recording? There we go. Stop recording. There we go.